All right. So I'm just going to do a simple app that has a list of products and it allows you to favorite them. And the favorites show up on a second page called favorites. And you can also unfavorite them by hitting the favorite icon again. So to get started, we're going to need our data. So the two data sources we have are the products data, which is going to come from Airtable. And it kind of looks like that. It's just got a name, a description, a price, and an image URL. And to set that up, you just give it a name. You put in your Airtable API URL here. Set up your authorization. I just have a demo account here. And then for your get collection to get the records, your response key path is going to be records. And if you run a test, you can see we have all that data here, and you're just going to set schema from response, which will give you this. And these fields are what we're going to make our offline data source from. So if we go back, and if you were going to do an on-device storage, you would just click this, but I've already got it set up, so we'll just look at it. I named it favorites, and by default it comes with an ID. And then I added in the name field, an image field, which is a web URL, price, which is a number, and description, which is text, and name is text as well. All right, so let's go ahead and set up our product page. And I like to do the variables first. So we need a couple data variables. We need our products to obviously go and get the products and display them on the page. And then we need our favorites so that we can kind of keep track if something is a favorite or not. So you're just going to add two data variables, products and favorites. Pretty basic. All right, so let's set up our actual, kind of the view. So I drug out a container and I just kind of filled it with an image, text field, and this is a row that has, I believe, I go to style, the first cell is 35 pixels, and then the second cell is just 100% of whatever's left, and I centered the text inside that. So once you get all this out here, oh, and just to mention, you need to repeat on the container. So if you see the repeat with, you just want to go to data variables, data variable, and select your products. And that will allow us to kind of dynamically create all of our products. So once you have everything kind of set up the way it looks, we need to make it to where if you tap on the star icon, it'll add it to the favorites. And also, to make it look kind of nice, I made the icon dynamic. So if it's already a favorite, it's going to be solid yellow. And if it's not a favorite, it'll be just an outline. And to do that, I know it's shown an error, but it does work. I'm saying if the current item we're on, if that name is in the favorites list, and that's why we add the data variable favorites so that we can search for it. So if that product is already in the favorites list, we're going to return a solid star. And if it's not in the favorites list, we're going to return an outline star. So just hit save. So that's set up, but now we need to make it, when we actually tap it, we need to make it create a favorite. And to do that, we're going to click on our icon, and it's a pretty simple thing here. We're actually using part of the same formula. So we're going to do a condition and say, if our current product that we're on, if that name is in our list of favorites with the same name, then we know it's already there. So you can kind of say that as, if the product is already a favorite, then we're going to remove it from favorites if they tap it, and if it's not a favorite, then we're going to add it to favorites if they tap it. So we have a create record and a delete record. So the create record, you're going to select favorites as the resource name, and then the custom object, you can just go here and select data item and repeat and do current fields.name, and you're just going to do that for each of the fields. All right, so what happens if you tap the star, it'll create a favorite. So to remove favorites, we need to do the opposite. We need to delete it. So same resource name. And what this is doing is we need to find the ID. So we need to find the object in our favorites that has the same name as the one we're on currently. And once we find that object, we're going to look up the ID, and that's what will be returned. So we'll save that. So we're pretty much done. We need to create the favorites page, which is essentially just a copy of this page, but instead of using the products data, you're going to use the favorites data. I should mention one thing I did change. I made my delay on getting the favorites data a little bit quicker, because if you tap that, it's going to wait like 5 seconds before it knows that it's a favorite or whatever, so the icon won't change. So if you change that to like 100 milliseconds, it's a little faster. It looks a little better. All right, so if we go to the favorites page, you can't really tell, but it's pretty much the same thing. And I guess you could add the favorite icon here and let them unfavorite it from this page as well if you wanted to. I just didn't for this demo purpose, but we have a title, an image, and the text. And if you look at this container, it's repeated with favorites. And then for each of these, we just kind of did the same thing. Did a formula for the name. And then this is current.description. And then the image, go and select it right here, is current.image. And you could store the image offline if you wanted to, but it's probably another lesson. Anyway, we can launch this in the browser. It's a little big, but so if I select the star, it turns solid yellow. And if I go to favorites, there's my sol. We'll add the axe. In your favorites page, you can set the refresh, it's 5 seconds by default, but if you wanted it to refresh a little faster, you could change it to like a second or something. But if we X off of this and come back to it, our data should still be there. And there we go.